kind of thing anymore.
You know, it never stood for anything at any point. I mean, I've been working it longer than even you have, Elena. And there's never been a time I actually found myself organizing for a actual...
Progressive.
Don't say that word, but yes, I guess progressive. I mean, we're supposed to be an independent third party, but we're always hitting the streets for some goddamn useless Democrat that the party made a deal with. Oh yeah, sure, I'll support card check or an increase in minimum wage.
Or carriage horses.
Jesus Christ. The carriage horses? We got how many human beings dying each day in holding cells from this fucking virus? And how much energy has been spent on ostensible humanist left on protecting carriage horses?
Well, you know, they are spectacular. It is spectacularly cruel, you know, what they do to them. They have got a point.
No, I'm not saying that there's not a point to protecting the horses. Of course, I don't want to see them dying on the street, you know, pulling tourists around the park. I'm just saying the capitulation this party engaged in. I mean, some starched collar, milquetoast Democrat takes millions from hedge funds and banks, and bang, his party is pushing, and suddenly I'm knocking down doors to get this prick reelected.
I don't have that problem anymore. Say what you like about the current situation. At least I don't have to personally capitulate anymore on behalf of that party.
Party? Why do you keep calling it that? The most successful third party in the history of New York politics, but it only got there by horse trade, pardon the expression, with the lesser of two evils.
Well, it's much easier to score election wins when you just attach a party line to whichever Democrat is running.
And of course, the second actual shit hits the fan when something else comes along, like, I mean, just...
Yeah, a disruption, a shattering event that could potentially usher in real revolution.
Exactly. What do?
Fire half the organizers, well, furlough 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Quality organizers, like you, people with experience.
Hang on a moment. What is that you're eating?
This is my last Provisions chili. London broil, tomato paste, paprika, black-eyed peas, scallions, turkey stock, sriracha, and a Diet Pepsi.
That sounds vile.
And I miscalculated last month. I freaked out about toilet paper and overstocked, but I didn't count on not being able to find napkins, so.
Oh, charming, truly charming.
Oh, such as, what fine cuisine are you eating up in the North Country?
None of that tripe. Just before you called, I had a nice packet of macaroni and cheese, and now I am enjoying this beverage, which I meant to understand has won a prize.
How's it treating you, the hinterland? I mean, you've been decamped at Dorian's place for a good 6 weeks.
Well, you're as alone as I am.
False. Alone in Brooklyn and alone in St. Lawrence County are not the same thing. You know, I can look out my window and see actual human beings.
To your question, it is fucking cold still. Soon as the sun starts to set, it drops below freezing.
You know, I remember they shipped me up there in 2010 for the assembly race. I mean, imagine late October in a place that might as well be Canada. I went without testicles for 2 months.
Remember this?
Should I?
It's my cocoon. What I started with the party in the early Bronze Age, back when we thought we were fighting the enemy with each election. I was between leases, depositing myself in whatever sofa would have me. I used to spirit this blanket into those back mills of those young canvassers would host up in Harlem, kegs and gravity bombs, and that atrocious boozy punch that you had to ladle out of the tub. Anyway, I tucked this cozy thing into one of the rooms, and then when everyone was left at the end of the night, I'd retrieve it. Park myself in the corner of the sofa, wouldn't move until the weekend was out. Never failed. Friday night to Sunday afternoon. For some reason, those children never told me to leave. I'd eat whatever they were cooking, drink whatever was left in the keg, never showered, never helped clean up. Half the time I commandeered the television and they'd always go along with it. Like I was some honored guest, or maybe they felt sorry for me. Rightly so, I suppose. It always worked though. Those 20-year-old kids, 5 of them in a 2-bedroom apartment, they always steered clear when I took up residence.
You know, they still have those ragers, the kids. I mean, not right now. You know, we'll hit one up when this is passed.
Wow. Having somewhat stabilized my life, it's now hard to justify returning to those events.
Bless those kids. You know, the only thing of value in the party. Idealistic, hardworking, endlessly replenishable. There's a new batch every couple of years. They make me feel old. I mean, I felt old when I was hired, even at 30. We're both elder statesmen, I suppose.
Just one more unemployed citizen. Spent so much of my adult life just fighting for the safety net. I fear I might as well lie in it for a while. Well, that is just wasteful.
Well, I bought so much of this. I mean, it's absurd.
Well, if it's taking up too much room, ship some to me. I'm a week away from dire straits.
It's my bait. Get your butt back down here before you freeze to death.
That bloody chance, even with your and the toilet tissue, you can't coax me back.
The city keeps us young. You'll become wizened.
If those punch and keg parties didn't kill me, I'm sure I can survive a few cold nights.
Christ. Elena, why didn't we talk until now?
Days just blended one into the other.
Yeah, every pleasurable thing just swept away. Hey, hang on.
You know, this thing started, and you understand, I spent a week in shock.
I just kept waking up at 6, you know, but then I'd lie there scrolling through the news, refreshing my email, waiting for the party to deep six me, opening my first beer at breakfast. They kept instructing me to set up virtual phone banks. Like that was in any way worthwhile. I mean, I felt like this absolute nullification. I mean, life emptied of structure, which is to say, I couldn't wrap my mind around this new cycle of half sleep and masked errands, meaningless work. I couldn't imagine what I'd say to another person who shared my values. So I chose to cut off, I suppose. I mean, all these weeks, not talking to you all that time has been, I forget, I missed it. Which it must be said, does not excuse you for not getting your butt back here.
I panicked when I got the furlough email. The shelter order was already in place, and I looked at my studio and I thought, absolutely fucking not. So I called Dorian, and because I knew she had this cabin, and after the house primary in 12, she let me decompress here for a few days. I thought, God, that was nice. Those few days, that was different though. After 12, I was totally spent. Like a week with no sleep and constant movement, the crescendo of an unlikely victory. All I needed was a soft bed and solitude. But coming up here by myself with all the anxiety in my bones, I wasn't ready for the emptiness of this place.
It's maddening, I'm sure. The quiet.
It's an adjustment. And there are noises. The first night, I felt like I was spinning away from the world. When the night sounds are so different, not unfamiliar. Like I can identify most any sound from the woods: crickets, frogs, dogs fighting, leaves rustling against each other. But the absence of human sound, it was scary at first.
You're a city mouse like me. You won't have a good sleep until you're back here.
Yes, well, once one acclimates.
Everything ends, Elena, even this shit.
Fact is, Dorian says the place is available for the foreseeable future after this thing subsides, whenever it subsides. And she said she'd like to have someone around to maintain it for a nominal rent.
That's ridiculous. It's a wasteland up there.
Certainly, but it's like the wasteland most places for a long while. And as it turns out,
What? Are you pausing for effect? Out with it.
I'm doing no such thing. She also connected me with a state senator's office. They'll need a constituent services director after all this is over.
An upstate hacks office? That's your post-plague plan is? Oh, God.
That's something I'm considering.
Jesus.
What is this reaction?
Okay, fine. You're giving up.
Cool. I get it.
What exactly does that mean?
It's a furlough, Elena. The party will have you back once things rebound. And the city is where the party matters.
You do realize that left politicians need to be elected out in the country too?
Do you really care? Okay, I'd have to look up who the senator is up there, but would you seriously consider whoever it is to be progressive?
What are you rambling on about? You hate that word. You told me it was meaningless.
Not when we say it. We know what it should mean. I mean, you're talking about carrying water for some probably Bush era bulldog dinosaur, and for what? So they can take a few somewhat leftish votes every now and then?
I wasn't even married to the idea of staying here before, but now you're selling me on it.
You're abandoning your vocation, our vocation.
I don't have a vocation, Greg. You're employed. You're locked in an apartment telling phone bankers that are locked in their apartments to call other people locked in their apartments and tell them to vote for whoever the party is backing. And it's not fulfilling, I'm sure, but you are still a field organizer. I'm not. I'm just out here on the Canadian border, drinking crap beer and eating whatever's in the cupboard. And it was rough for a few weeks. But now it feels
easier.
Yes, I suppose.
Fuck easier. You know, easier is how every shitty thing has ever happened in this country. You know, okay, easier gave us drone strikes and Amazon and news on Facebook. And don't worry, it's just the flu. Just wash your hands and don't touch your face and everything will be fine. Easier is chicken shit. And you aren't chicken shit.
What do you want me to say, Greg?
Just say you're coming back.
Would that make you happy?
You're a good organizer.
But would that make you happy?
I'm not a sentimental man, Elena.
You certainly are emotional. I think I hear a wolf out there. Do you hear that? Emptiness isn't really empty once you get used to it. There's probably a lesson in that somewhere. It's really nice to see you again, Greg. I missed it too.